First of all, we need to make the foundation of light gantry cutting machine track. Here, take model 6023 as an example. The total length of the track is 6.5 m, the centering of the track is 3 m, and the actual cutting range is 2.3 m x 6 m. Just do the track foundation according to the diagram. The material table is the table where the iron plate is placed during cutting. Please make it according to the size shown in the figure. The materials used can be determined according to the actual situation. The materials specified in the drawing may not be used completely. This is the front view after installation. This is the overall diagram after installation. A whole material platform is composed of two small material platforms. Open the wooden package and lift the main beam of the lightweight gantry CNC cutting machine. Place two wooden blocks on the ground to support the main beam. The lifting body must not touch the ground. To prevent touching the parts under the lift and beam, screw the nut onto the screw of the base. Place the flat pad and then put the mounting board. Put flat and elastic pads and screw nuts. Do not tighten the nut temporarily. Turn the track over. Push the nuts along the gap under the track to about 0.5 meters. Put the movable side of the base down onto the track. Add two internal hexagonal bolts and tighten to the nuts of the track. 3 groups of cushion blocks on each track shall be assembled according to the above method. Turn the assembled track over and put it on the completed foundation. Next, start assembling the rack. Release all the small nuts on the rack to the bottom side. Just like this. Adjust the small nut under the rack to be vertical. From here, thread the rack into the track along the gap. The teeth of the rack are facing inward. Assembly all strips as described above. Lift the rack and slide along the track. Set aside about 30 centimeters here.
Hold the rest of the teeth all tight.
On the other side, the rack and the track edge leave 15 centimeters. If the rack is too long, cut it. Press the rack tightly on the track and tighten the bolts on the rack. The rack must be fastened to the track, and each bolt must be tightened. At the joint of 2 racks, use a small section of rack to engage with the other 2 racks. Press the small rack and tighten the bolts on the long rack. The butt joint of each rack shall be installed according to the above method. Each bolt on the rack bar shall be tightened. The optical axis should pass through this position of the track. On one side of the track and on both sides of the other track, the optical axis passes through the same way. Place the assembled track in the center of the foundation. Weld the base to the foundation. The base on the main track should be welded well, and the base on the secondary track should not be welded first. Tap the aluminum under the optical axis with a slotted screwdriver to clamp the optical axis. Knock every 30 centimeters below the optical axis, so that the optical axis is clamped on the track. The same goes on the other side of the track. Start adjusting the level of the track. By adjusting the 4 nuts on both sides of the mounting base, the track is adjusted to level. Tighten the bolts of the base after leveling. Place the level instrument in the middle of the track. Adjust the whole track horizontally by adjusting another set of bases. Tighten all the bolts on the base. Align the U-shaped bearing under both sides of the beam with the optical axis on both sides of the track. Facing the direction of the screen is the track edge is 30 cm from the rack. Push the beam into the track. First push the beam back and forth on the track a few times. Push the beam back to the first base, and then weld it to the foundation. Push the beam to the second base and then weld it to the foundation. After the auxiliary track is fixed, put the level in the middle of the beam. Start adjusting the level of the secondary track. Make the water bead in the middle of the horizontal instrument. The whole beam becomes horizontal, it is okay. Push the beam to another base and adjust the method. After all the adjustment, tighten the bolts on the base. Here is a demonstration of how the two tracks connect. Aligning the two tracks. If the track is long, a line must be drawn on the side of the track as a reference. The surface of one end at both ends of the optical axis is flat and smooth, and this end is the butt end. Thread the smooth side of the optical axis inward from one end of the track along the gap. One end of the optical axis reaches 5 cm into the other track. At one end of the other track, thread the smooth side of the optical axis inward. Docking with another optical axis and to feel the smoothness of the joint with your hand. Turn the other optical axis until you feel the seam is the smoothest. The smoother the joints of the two optical axes, the better. After docking, hold the optical axis close to the track. Start at one end of the track. Tap the lower edge of the optical axis with a flathead screwdriver or a flathead iron bar. Tap it every 30 cm apart. Hold the two optical axles tight on the track.